Hello and welcome to another Engage video looking at the update on the model, and today we're going to be looking at surface runoff and showing you some of the outputs from the model. So I'm just going to quickly run through the data so you can see I've got the data that I showed in a previous example goes into the geoprocessing tool. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate where the Engage model is within ArcGIS and start that up. And what you notice is you get an interface come up and we need to input data. But before we can do that, we need somewhere to put the data. So here I'm just creating a geodatabase that all of our surface runoff data is going to go into. And then I specify within the model window that that's where I want all my data to go to. In the remainder of the boxes, I fill in all the data requirements for the models. That's the elevation, the land cover, the soil, much as I've shown in previous clips. And then one of the new ones is this precipitation file, so that's a text file. Within that text file, which I'll show you here, is a series of 10 days of precipitation, just in millimeters per day. So that is one of the requirements of the model. One of the other things you need to do is you need to give a start date for the model, so when the precipitation starts, that is important for working out the plant evapotranspiration. And the other thing, which is this drop down, is you need to say where you're located within the UK in terms of region. And here I've selected England Southwest / South Wales, as that's the region where this catchment is. And then it's a simple case of hitting OK on the model, and once all the data has been input, you'll see a series of messages come up in the dialog, and these messages will tell you what the model's running and how quickly it's running as well. So it'll give you time estimates of how long different processes took. And this is running through the first day of simulation. So you're looking at approximately the first day of simulation takes a bit longer than the other days. And I've sped this up now so that we can get through the whole day of simulation in about a minute. Whereas it would take sort of 5–10 minutes to do 10 days of simulation. But if you want to do longer periods, then you just input much significant amount of data. It tells you what data is going in terms of temperature data, and it outputs some of the values as well from the calculations within the model. And then what we'll get in a second, once it's come towards the end of simulation, is it will come up with completed, and I'll start to show you some of the data that's been generated just through this model. Now if I go into my geodatabase that I created at the start and refresh it, you notice that I now have 10 QSurf, which is surface runoff values. And then if I add them to my ArcGIS interface, which I've done earlier, so I could add a bit of symbology to make it clearer to you. And what we've got here is we've got a series of values for surface runoff. So the first day, it's not going to be a very good value because it's just the running up of the model. But after that, as you can see, you get the spatial variation in the darkness of the blue, and that alludes to the amount of surface runoff. And obviously, there's a different peak on the left, as you see, high for each day. The ones that have naught is where we've had no rainfall, so we can't have any surface runoff. And then after we've had several days of dry weather, if we have a rainfall event, the peak is a bit less. As you can see, the peak there is only 4. As the ground has dried up a bit. So there's that previous days incorporated in. And if you have a really high rainfall event, then you're going to have a lot of surface runoff on that day. And so this allows you to see the spatial variations in surface runoff within a river catchment. And that's one of the outputs from the model, so it could be quite useful. Once again, I'll give you another video shortly.